am coming from the perspective of a parent and an organizer, obviously not a psychologist. So keep that in mind as we go through this. We're going to talk about just practical things that can help your student. I had two very good students, but I had one, of course, the middle child, that was very challenging as a student. He had a hard time sitting still. He had a hard time focusing. Homework was a nightmare. I would have to stand over him to get him to do anything. So I understand the frustration. And I'll tell you a couple of things that I found that helped. But first of all, for any of your children, I suggest a couple of things. And that is to, number one, have the room where they're working free of distractions. So whether they're working in a kitchen, at the kitchen table, or their bedroom, at a desk, you want the room free of distractions. You also want their bedroom free of distractions whether they study there or not, because they sleep there. And sleep is one of the more important things you'll need for student success. So when it comes to their space, keep it simple. That's always what I say, simplify. If there's a bunch of stuff in that room or that space that doesn't need to be there, toys they don't play with anymore, clothes that don't fit, just stuff, get it out of there. That's the first step. And then make sure everything is put away in its place, whether it be clothes or toys or books. Floors are cleared, surfaces are uncluttered. There is a book that I love talking about how important it is to teach your children to make their beds. It's entitled Make Your Bed, Little Things That Can Change Your Life and Maybe the World. And it's by Admiral William McRaven. And I read that book, my daughter was reading it, and I thought it was so interesting because it talked about a simple task like making your bed can teach you discipline and, just start you off for the rest of your day. So you might be interested in that. But make the bed. Simple, I know you're going to get right back in it, but it's important for kids to learn that. Make sure surfaces, like I said, are decluttered. There aren't a lot of distractions. And I like to make the room a no phone zone for a number of reasons, but mainly distractions. If they're getting a text every 5 seconds when they're trying to do their homework, that's going to be a problem. So that's important. It's good to start teaching responsibility, like we talked about the make your bed and how important that can be. But things like not bailing your kid out every time they make a mistake, letting them suffer some of the consequences, whether that be leaving their homework at home and you not running up to school, getting in trouble at school and you not running to their defense, but maybe listening to the teacher, because usually they do have a little bit of perspective on this. So those kind of things, teach your kids responsibility. That's very, very important. Also, so we're going to talk a little bit about organizing styles to start off with. And you might want to make some notes, but again, you'll see maybe your kid shows some of these in one category, some in another, so it doesn't have to be clear-cut one style. A lot of them have combinations of styles. But the first one is a visual student. And you'll notice the visual student thinks of missing items in relation to where they saw them last. They're visual. So they'll say, hey, did you see this? Or I saw it here last, I can't find it. Everything needs to be visible, and they need to have colors, pictures, other visual cues. They'll have a hard time finding things they can't see. So you don't want them behind closed doors, cabinets, desk drawers. You want things out where they can see them. And they feel disorganized when their workspace is overloaded, with there's too much stuff out at once. So we'll talk a little bit more about this later. Now, spatial. These are the kids that think of things in relation to where they used them last. So they'll say, if they're looking for something, they're going to think of where they used it last. They need to have things within reach, not just where they can see them, but a little bit closer, maybe within reach. They need to have their work area cleared off, good space to work. They need to have things around them that they like, that feel good, maybe a little bit cozy, maybe a place where they study that's a cozy chair rather than a desk. But they need things that they like and that feel good. And they are most disorganized when their work area is a mess, so that's why it needs to be clear. Chronological is the next category. And these people think in terms of where they last had the item when they're searching for something. Everything is chronological. They love numbers. They may have stacks of paper on their desk, and that works for them. I happen to be one of those. I like my piles. They're organized piles, but they're piles, and I know exactly what I need to be doing because everything's laid out in order of which I need to do it. They tend to be very detail oriented, and they get frazzled when their workspace is not in order. So they like definite order. They're going to enjoy all of the organizing tools that you can find. So we're going to talk about a little bit each of these types of organizers and how they set up different spaces. So we're going to talk about backpacks first. So the visual person is going to want something fun, colorful, something they can enjoy looking at as far as a backpack. The person that's spatial is going to want something comfortable, maybe some textures, again, something they like, maybe even a character they like. Chronological is going to want those organizational tools, all those compartments, so that they know exactly where things are and they're in those tucked away compartments. As far as binders or notebooks, the visual person may want a separate notebook or binder for each subject versus one with everything in it. Whereas the spatial is going to want probably a single binder, and the chronological is going to take that a step further and want a binder with maybe some organizers in it, maybe tabs chronologically for all their subjects, periods, 1 through 7, whatever they have. They're going to want a little bit more organization in their binder. Planners. A lot of people are doing things on their phones. This doesn't work for a lot of kids, but sometimes it's good because they are less likely to lose their phone than their planner. But their planner is really important. So again, that visual person is going to want something colorful. They may want to use highlighters for the different subjects, something that's going to be visually stimulating. The spatial and chronological tend to go for the, 2-page layout of the days of the week or the month. And that way they can see everything in perspective. As far as their workspace, this could be either a private space or a common area. And this is what you need to decide. Each child is a little bit different. Some can't focus unless they're by themselves. Some can't focus unless they've got that body doubling next to them. All of my kids ended up, even the one that it was easily distracted, they were better at sitting by the bar, at the bar, all doing their homework together because they focused better. That other person saying don't talk made the one who wanted to talk not talk. So it worked for me, but find out what works for them. But as far as their space, the visual person is going to want a space that's set up with only the essentials out, and maybe pull one subject at a time. So if they have those separate binders, pull out the English and work on that, pull out the math and work on that, but pull out one subject at a time instead of a bunch of stuff all over their desk. They're going to want colorful or clear containers with maybe some labels, any kind of visual cue, things that are going to help them find what they need visually. The spatial person is going to want everything within reach, kind of a comfy space like we talked about. It could even be a cozy chair, somewhere where they can reach everything. The chronological is going to want a little bit more space because they may have their piles. They may have things laid out. They may have, they want to know what's coming next. So they're working on their English, but they want to have their math there knowing that that's next. So that's the chronological as far as workspace. So I hope that helped a little bit. You'll probably see a little bit of your kids in different things, but again, just try different spots, try what works for them. But I think also routine is very important in this. Creating a routine is important for kids and helps them focus. So at night, Make sure you lay out the clothes that they're going to wear that morning. Put their homework in there. Make sure they put their homework in their backpack and put their backpack in a certain spot where it's ready to grab. You don't want to be rushing around any more than you need to in the mornings. They're already crazy times. You want to make sure you have time for a healthy breakfast. So maybe even teach them to wake up with an alarm so that you're not having to rush around and make sure everybody's getting out of bed. Setting that authority, letting them be responsible for getting up, and then creating a routine where they do have time for that healthy breakfast. That's important. And then when they get home, I know my kids always wanted to get to their homework so they could get out and play. But sometimes they just needed a little bit of a break before they got to their homework. And that was really important because they've been in school all day long. So maybe getting a healthy snack, running around a little bit before they sit down to do their homework is going to help them focus better. So those are some things to think about. But we know that organized students are going to make better grades, have to work less at their homework, which leaves more time for just a balanced life, which is what we all want for our kids. There's so much pressure and stress on them from school, sports, activities, at such a young age. And I think that creating an environment where they have a balanced life and they have time for everything and they give, their all to their work and do it excellently, but yet they have time for what's important to them and a little bit of life. Now, there could be things your kids you see struggling with, ADHD, learning disabilities, processing disorders, anxiety, depression. That's so common these days. We see so much of it in the schools. Obviously, it's great to get help. Ask your family physician, your teacher, maybe a counselor at school for some help there, because they're the experts. They deal with these things all the time, and it may be a struggle for you that they can help you with. And maybe there's some simple things your teacher could, even knowing your kids so well, help you with as far as the homework and anything else, studying that they need to do at home. But this month and always, really, we're offering a free consultation for your student and you. If you have any concerns that you want to talk to me about, we talk about your student, maybe some of their spaces, and how we can set those up to make sure they have every opportunity to succeed. So feel free to give me a call at any time, 909-307-4862. You can also put your questions, comments down below. Make sure to like and share this video so that others can maybe benefit from it.